So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit and I'm the tiny one.
Yo, tiny one.
Just really good that I'm putting my sound down a little bit because I'm usually much louder than you, and then you go
bam. Do not adjust the volume.
I didn't take yours down. So.
No. Okay.
No, we're good.
So, what's up?
We just had a big event.
Yes, we did.
Very, very fun.
Yep.
We always say this, but it's, as for now, always been the truth. It's the best one yet.
Yes, and it levels up every time.
We've been doing events for about 5 years. Last 3 years in the form of flow state, 3 or 4 years in the form of flow state.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun now because usually before we say it's worth it. Like we've had the experiences, we've done all of the work with the structure of consciousness, the flow funnel, still working with it. So we have a lot of experiences, but the people that's been with us was very fresh. They hadn't had that many experiences. So they kind of had to go on our trust.
Yeah.
And trust what we were saying, and they have. But it was really nice now because now they have so many experiences. So when we have new people coming in, they help us. They help us take care of them because they go, oh, it's okay. I've done that. It's a little bit scary, but you can do this and that. And like we've been taught, and it really helps the community build. And we've been seeing that a lot now, the weeks after the flow state, that the community are really helping each other.
Oh, yeah. They support each other in growth.
Exactly.
And you ask them, hey, did you get a raise? Yes. Have you gotten a promotion? Yes. Do you have better relationships? Yes. How's your health? Better. I think that no matter what positive criteria that you could actually mention that has a massive impact on your life, the quality of your life, if you ask the people who've been to 2 or 3 of the flow states, everybody raises their hand that they notice a significant difference after every flow state, which is amazing.
Yes.
And the whole process of supporting each other, what people normally think about when you talk about support is you're feeling like crap and therefore they're supporting you and you're feeling like crap. But in this case, it's cheerleading, it's cheering you on as you are stepping into the life that you want, seeing people and recognizing and supporting them in their excellence. Because most people, if you're doing good, don't say anything. They only tell you when you're doing shitty. Right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, we're gonna, not that was the thought theme today, but it's a very interesting theme. I'm turning 35. I'm usually get asked about kids. I don't have any. I have a baby dog.
Yeah,
he's my baby
dog.
But I'm never getting congratulated within like, except for a community, with actually the progress we're making within the firm, the progress, like we're working, I'm working so many hours, but we don't celebrate each other.
Yeah. People don't take the time to celebrate the wins because the wins kind of, we're so survival focused in society that,
exactly.
that people are only focused on where it went wrong instead of where it's going amazingly right.
Exactly. Like when one, and this is what's changing in the community. I see people are really cheering each other on.
Yeah, because there's so much to cheer.
There's so much to cheer, and it's a very interesting because there's a big difference in age, in education, we're having a peer group now that we're having online for people that want to connect and continue working between the flow states. And the group is big variation in age, in education, in goals.
Yeah.
The difference in goals are insane.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter because the path is the same, the path to excellence, and that someone has a challenge in one area will inspire someone in theirs.
Because all of your excellence, all of your success comes from inside you and is funneled through your nervous system. The consciousness that you have is structured through the structure of consciousness, which we talked about at the flow state quite a bit.
And that's what you teach.
Yes. And the flow funnel is how you keep in that flow state, that you basically are able to energize the things that your ideas and your emotions and your actions so that you can manifest the life that you want. And that's the thing, that people have been there and they're getting what they want. And that's really cool.
Yeah. And also because people are like, yeah, but getting what you want, it could sound very, I don't know, hard, small, but it's actually living a life with purpose.
Yeah. And choice.
And choice. You discover what you want out of your life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I don't feel that small at all. It's actually, you know why your feet hits the ground in the morning.
Exactly.
And that takes some time, and it often changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the more I do it, the more I expand what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I said at the flow state, so why do we keep coming back? Should one come back? You are using this correct method.
Yeah.
So people can identify in the structure of consciousness, in the flow funnel, where they have incongruencies and things that doesn't match.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Why do you have resistance to doing stuff?
Why do you have a reaction to this?
Yes.
And why is that blocking you to living a life in freedom?
Exactly.
And being able to choose?
Mm-hmm.
And these questions, because it's in these patterns, is hidden.
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever be able to ask myself, because I don't want to know them. My subconscious mind is often trying to kind of hide them for me.
Mm-hmm.
But with being asked this question, you have a lot of reflection going on, and you can find things, and then you can feel you have like a body reaction. Do you start to tighten up? You sit like this. You have to tell your
neighbor
like, this.
Yeah.
This bullshit. And I always invite them to then ask, why are you having this reaction? And to what?
Mm-hmm.
Look at it. It's an open question.
Mm-hmm.
We're never telling you what's right or wrong. We're just asking an open question.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have a reaction to it?
Mm-hmm.
Why can you and can you not do one thing?
Yeah. And that's it. We have so many of these frames that we grew up with our mothers and fathers and teachers and preachers that define how we look at things. And because they come in before the age of 7, most of them are done when we're in a semi-hypnotic state. And we have the way we roll and the story we tell ourselves about the way we roll that may not have to do with anything related at all to how we roll, because we just always done it that way and never thought any other way. And we've kind of bought the story that our parents told us about why we do it that way, but we've never analyzed that or figured it out for ourselves. Right. So the consciousness part of it's very important, and taking the time to have that reflective meeting with yourself. And as we talk about through the structure of consciousness, you have a great movement now of self-discovery and growth in people much more than before, because there's so much distraction. And the structure of consciousness shows you that you have first pure consciousness and then universal awareness, and then you have your worldview and your personal philosophy. Those are the top layers. But in general, religion has taken those layers
Fixed it for you.
But when we're less religious and we're more scientific, we have to actually do that conscious awakening ourselves. And maybe things in your religion work and maybe they don't. So, people who are fundamentalists will say that I'm crazy in my head for doubting anything around that one religion or other. I'm just saying that if you're going to be in a religion, have a conscious relationship with it, choose it, work with it, put it to the test, see if it actually fits you instead of just accepting it. Because in order to have a meaningful life, you have to actually have a conscious relationship with those layers.
Now I'm in deep water. Would you then say that people, because we have friends that's Muslims and Christians and the whole shabam,
Yeah.
don't want to say more religions because I'm going to lose like two of them, and anyways,
Yeah.
but people that have a conscious relationship to really conscious relationship to their religion, the worldview, the personal philosophy, their universal awareness, and the pure consciousness,
Yes.
through their religion,
Yes.
they live very, very good.
Oh man.
But the people that make their religion adapt to their, they actually have a conscious relationship with it. They take what fits them.
Yeah.
And adapt, take this part and that part, but that part we just kind of take to the side because I don't like that part. They may have more difficult lives because they will have more, they're not living in flow. They have more bumps and thing that hits. There are more incongruencies.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a minefield to talk about because depending on how fundamentalists the person listening is, they may or may not be able to see where they are congruent and incongruent with their religion. And I'm pretty sure that every religion, when you take the spirit of that religion, has to do with good and clean living.
Yes, exactly.
And
That's my
yes,
take on it too.
And very few of them actually have to do with world domination and political strife and starving and shooting other people. And though in the Old Testament there was a lot of that was happening, but the New Testament doesn't have that. You know, a lot of these stories that they tell are stories for learning and parables, but the way the general theme in these religions is healthy living and tolerance and cooperation and love and obeying, the structure and all that. So it's a very beautiful thing. So I've never had an issue with a truly religious person.
No, exactly.
Ever.
No.
And I love being with them. Some of my best friends, like I was talking to one of my Muslim friends in Oslo the other day, and he was like, yeah, do you have an issue with any religions? And I said, no. I said, some of my best friends are Muslims. And he said, I said, some of my best friends are Christians. And some of my best friends are Buddhists. And some of my best friends are Zen Buddhists. And I just went through all of these different religions of people that I remember and I know, and I've spent lots of time with. And I said, some of my best friends are also atheists because they're good people, because it's all about that that channel from up, down, inside out.
Will you then say that they have their lens, although through different religions or not religions, will be somewhat the same?
Yes, that's
that
exactly
they have like
it.
We talk a lot about framework.
Yeah.
That how you put a frame on it, how you look at it.
Yeah.
Will often have an impact, or will not often, it will have an impact of how you look at life.
Yeah.
Will you then say that all of these people, no matter religion or background, they have a set frame somewhere that would say be mostly alike, like they are?
Yeah, they're actually quite similar.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at the red thread through all of the religions, though the details may look different, the red thread that goes through everything is quite similar.
Exactly.
It's quite similar. The stories may be different, but it's about contact with a creator or the universal source. It's about being humble in that respect, which is extremely good when you're trying to survive, by the way, because being humble for universal forces and nature is a good thing. And whether you believe in the creator or you don't believe in the creator, or whatever name you use for the creator, you still have some kind of a respect for a universal awareness, some kind of worldview that you've created. It's all about what it's all about. Your personal philosophy. How do you roll? Well, I have the 10 Commandments, or I have, the edicts of this and that, or I use the Sikhs use a book, and the guru is in the book now, and so there's so many lists of behaviors, but if you look at all of those, they in general have to do with healthy communal living, because If you're going to have a religion and you're going to have a community, you need people to be able to live together. So probably shouldn't be stealing from your friends, probably shouldn't murder people with no good reason. You probably should follow some good rules, right? So in general, these personal philosophies and worldviews that come from there are very similar because they have to do with community dynamics.
Exactly.
Now, why is it that it's kind of forced on people in certain communities? Why is it like, okay, you're either with our community or screw it, you're out. You're out. You get punished, or, it, unfortunately, because of tribalism, it became that. But if you have a certain way of acting and then somebody is an outlier, somebody's not acting in that way or doesn't have the same value system, they become a problem because they become a disruption. And then you have all the that's why we have prisons, right? So most of the atheistic ways of thinking are very similar to healthy religious living also. Keep it clean, don't steal, try to produce more value than you take, all of these things. There are very few things that are actually different.
We just fuck it up.
Yeah, exactly. But people just make it a huge deal.
Yeah.
Another thing that
is that a trauma and or from a childhood that, for instance, gonna kind of determine that it in essence is pure, but then because you're gonna have trauma growing up and you're gonna be told no matter how good you are, you're gonna be traumatized. No matter how bad you are, you're gonna be traumatized, and that then kind of gonna disrupt that cleanness that it originally had in a way.
Well, it's that,
or
and
pureness,
also,
yeah.
but people live in different. That's exactly what I was going to talk about. Because why is it a hierarchical and strict system from kind of like the Pope and down?
Yeah, exactly.
And the priest and down? Because you always have to think, why is it that religions separate man from God? Because shamanism doesn't.
No.
Shamanism means, or the thought around shamanism is that everything is living and everything is aware and everything is God and
everything has
you're
spirit.
Connected. Everything has spirit. You're connected. So why is it that the church in a way is getting in the way of that? Because you have to go to a priest to give a confession, for example, and then the priests have, bishops and pope and all this stuff. And not all religions have this. Of course, I'm talking about the Catholics as a good example of this, but very often you have to go to a holy man to have that experience. They specialize in holding this culture, right? Well, not everybody is able to relate to their own personal philosophy. Some people are, because like what you're saying, because of their biology or because of their experiences and traumas and their growing up, that they're stuck in trying to avoid discomfort their whole life and trying to get as much comfort as possible, just being in the body. Some people just want physical pleasure and that's all they want. They want to eat lots of good food and they want to make love and they want to, try to get the softest materials on their bodies, and they don't want to, push their body harder than it feels good. And,
pushing your body never feels good.
It's very difficult, right? But that's exactly it. That's why you see in America, there's this insane obesity epidemic right now. It's insane. Like 60%.
And we're not able, because we're not conscious, we're not able to see how this choice is going to affect. Yeah, it's temporarily good.
Yeah.
But in 5 years,
yeah,
I have diabetes.
In the moment, it's good. But did you know that 26% of all babies being born in America are obese? I mean, we're talking epidemic. It's out of control. Like, people are super unhealthy because they are in fight and flight. They're looking for comfort. They're feeding the pleasure centers in their bodies and minds, and they're not able to take it to the next level where they actually start thinking, what about how I feel about this? What do I feel about being 180 kilos or 325 pounds? Is that good? Is that okay? They never kind of take a step past just the pleasure body. And then when they finally get to the emotional state, when they realize that getting the gastric bypass operation actually doesn't fix your overweight, because you get skinny for a period because your body's starving because it can't get nutrition. But as soon as you learn how to eat with that, you get fat again. And because it's not about the
You
body.
didn't change who you were,
Your
how you
emotional
related.
states.
You
Exactly.
didn't change how you related to food. You didn't change how you related to exercise.
Exactly. Because it's not about the exercise and food. For most people, it's a mental, emotional
It's how
issue.
you relate to it, your
Exactly.
frame on it.
It's your escapism for getting out of a frame conflict. Exactly. And then what happens is that when they start to solve the psycho-emotional issues, then the weight just falls off because they're no longer needing to hide in a Ben and Jerry's ice cream box.
Was this
right?
we talked about this lady once that you coached, that she would gain weight.
Yeah.
Her diet would never work and she would always gain weight. But when she discovered that she didn't want to be hit on from guys, because she was afraid that she was, when she got fit and ate healthy, which she wanted to, but subconsciously she was terrified of being hit on by men. Her safety was to be obese.
That's right.
Is that then a conflict in frames?
Yes.
Or personal worldview and personal philosophy?
Where's the friction there?
Where's the friction? Where is the incongruency? What?
Yeah. That's an incongruency between frames, because every level of the structure of consciousness has different frames. That's basically, a frame is when you create a concept around something, and these concepts interrelate as ideas and ways of looking depending on which level they're at. So a worldview would be a frame around, this is the way the world is. The world is filled with what kind of people?
Good people.
Yeah, good people, right? And you would love that to be true. But then when you experience a bad person, quote unquote, because a bad person means that they're not following the same value system as you are. That's how people define good and bad, right? Then what happens is that there's a shock to your frame. And either you have to make that person obey the good person rule, or you have to change your frame. But
make it bigger, for instance, that
make it bigger
people
that
do
they're good and bad people,
good and bad, or people do the best they can with what they have.
You add another frame to make that okay, that encompasses that experience. Exactly.
So it is then, instead of being unnuanced,
yes,
instead of having a nuanced frame, people are good,
yes,
or people are bad,
yes,
it becomes people do the best they can with what they have.
Exactly.
And then people do the best with what, and then you
yeah
get a new shake there, and
exactly.
then you expand it even more.
Exactly. And that's the process of becoming a little less beginner human every day.
Little less beginner human every day.
Yeah, exactly. And those are the nuances that come with the Socratic method. We look at the different layers of consciousness and figure out where the frames need to be expanded, where they need to be added to, and where they need to be changed or broken, right? Because, leveling it up, the world's filled with good people. Well, sometimes your interactions with people are going to be not so good.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, the world's filled with good and bad people.
But then they're good and bad. And what happens in between?
Yeah.
And who are you in this?
Yes. And then you realize, well, they are good people, but they're in shitty situations. So, well, if I was in the situation, would I be doing the same thing? Well, yeah, I probably would be doing the same thing. Their kids are super hungry. Their kids are starving and they have nowhere to go and they have no money. Of course they stole from the supermarket, right? Are they bad people or they have hungry kids? Well, they're still bad people because bad people steal. Well, then you have a conflict in understanding people. But if you expand your consciousness, you realize, okay, they're doing what they can with what they have. Why don't I help them have less hungry kids if I want to fix something in life? Or that's not my problem. I'm moving on, right? So that's also because of that decision will be because of a frame, right? So how you work your frames is going to decide the way you act in life. So a trauma in her case was both a mental trauma and an emotional trauma. Okay.
So then you're looking at worldview, personal philosophy, and emotions.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Her worldview was broken because she thought that everybody was nice. And then she found out that people weren't nice.
Broken frame.
She got her frame broken, but not with her consent.
Yeah. So it becomes more of a shattered glass than that you do a break and expansion.
Yeah, exactly. Because it wasn't conscious. She didn't even know it was broken. You see,
exactly.
that's
So
the
then you
trauma.
still have the frame.
Yeah.
The frame hasn't changed. Like we say at
Yeah.
an event, we break frames, but then you consciously break it and expand it from
Yeah.
people are good and bad to people do the best that they can, for instance.
Yeah. Yes.
But this one, it was broken
Yeah.
without her knowing it. So you
Well,
get
without her being conscious.
conscious.
Yes.
So then
Yeah.
she still has it, but
Yeah.
it's
so because
shattered glass.
we don't know who she is, she was out with her friends. She got drunk, basically. And of course, she feels safe because the world is filled with what kind of people?
Good people.
That's right. She went into the bathroom and she was raped, and brutally raped. So she remembers from that time that she was looking especially cute. She had a little mini skirt on and she felt feminine and sexy and cute. And she came out of that bathroom and her whole world had changed. And also, when you get victimized and you are not conscious of what happened to you actually, what often happens is you make up lots of ideas around the way it was and the way you were to try to avoid it next time, which survival mechanism. And then you start getting ritualistic behaviors. That's what that is, ritualistic behaviors. And everybody who does trauma work understands what that is. Ritual avoidance, OCD-like behaviors, all kinds of things. Like she couldn't wear skirts after that because that was too feminine, because that was, the thing.
And not allowing herself to feel feminine or feel sexy or feel cute or
at all. Big jump, like the sloppiest clothes you can imagine, and gaining lots of weight. And the worst part is that the diets worked to a point. But then when she started getting attention from men again,
and started maybe to feel cute feminine again,
exactly,
she couldn't have that.
The emotional and mental triggers started, the frames no longer, when she was feeling good about herself and she started getting attention, then that didn't fit her now vision of herself. And then it started happening. She would have to start unconsciously eating again, or she did start unconsciously eating again. So when you would ask her, so how's the diet going? Oh, I think it's going well. You're 5 kilos heavier this week than you were last week. 5 kilos. That's a lot of calories. That's 50,000 calories extra in a week. Like, you're eating extra, right? Because the unconscious conflict in the frames was unconscious. So then the behavior becomes unconscious. And
then you all of a sudden go, what happened?
Yeah, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. Well, you're eating double handfuls of cookies in between meals, aren't you? I think I had a cookie. Couple cookies, maybe a couple cookies. 50,000 calories in a week?
You wouldn't see it before you necessarily go in and look at your receipts from the grocery store.
From the grocery store, as you're driving past, when you fill the gas, you just stop for a burger, you just stop, get a candy bar here and there. And then suddenly like you're saying, you look at the receipts and you're like, my God, I just snacked 20,000 calories, like in 4 days. How? Right? But because it happens automatically, right? And it's just a little thing, but it's a little thing 7 times and it's not a little thing.
Exactly.
So when it comes to religious behaviors, if we are caught living in the lower aspects of our structure of consciousness, our body comforts, our emotional states, and our egos, what we can do is start to leverage our religion for power. Or we can start to excuse our behavior with religion, which is no good. And that's what you see. And you see a lot of destructive behaviors between religions.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be not just with religion? It would be with everything.
It's
everything.
It's everything.
If it's you vegan, or if you're vegetarian, or if you're not a vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
You're meat eater.
This is human behavior. It's not religiously, it's not specific there, but because we were talking about, the pure consciousness, universal awareness, worldview, and the personal philosophy, those things are generally taken care of by what?
Religion.
Exactly. But if your personal philosophy is to be a vegan, or it's to be a martial artist, or it's to be, I don't know, a meditator. That was one of the personal philosophies that we had, and a worldview, actually, that there's the meditating community, and then the rest of the world is mud, right? It's so stupid. It's so
Doesn't
it's
kind of work well with meditation to bring harmony and zen and
exactly
peace. And then you're gonna
exactly
hate 99.9% of the world.
exactly. That's the whole point. Is like there's so many of these things, these isms that just don't make any sense. Number one, and number two, they're the things that you think you say you're releasing yourself from, but you're just creating a whole bunch more problems. It's a bizarre thing. So working through the structure of consciousness like this is extremely important when you're understanding people's processes, when you're coaching, when you're leveling yourself up, when you're working with your own evolution, when you want to understand what mastery is. That's also extremely important. How do you become a master? Well, if you're going to master anything, you must actually clear a channel with your frames all the way from being purely conscious to doing. You can't hate every single moment of something and become a master of it. It's never happened. You have to have some kind of harmonious emotional relationship. You can't become a master painter if there's no way for you to paint. If you can't hold a paintbrush in your mouth, in your toes, in your hands, in a trunk, there's an elephant that paints, there's just no way if there's no access to that activity. So your body has to be with, your emotions have to be with, your personal philosophy has to be with. You have to choose that as one of your major roles. Nobody woke up and suddenly they were master of anything. To become a master, you have to have conscious repetitions over time. That's just the way it works. It's not like a lottery ticket you can buy. Then you go to your worldview. You have to find somewhere inside you where that thing fits in the world and is important in the world. People are like, well, what do you mean about that? Well, how can you become a master of something that you think is completely useless? Totally useless. No, in your life, you have to have that as something extremely important in the world. When you were doing jujitsu, for example, jujitsu was what?
Number one.
It was number one. It was everything and super important. You could have given me 20 different reasons why jujitsu is important for the world. Oh, it's therapy. Oh, it's connection. Oh, it's staying in shape. Oh, it's protection. Oh, it's empowering women. Oh, there's just so many things. But so you have to have your worldview in line. And then what about universal awareness? You have to understand that there's some kind of connectivity to yourself and a larger group of people or a larger thing, right? It's not the art of jujitsu. It's the jujitsu what? Community, right? It's the jujitsu community. It's the lineage. It's that connectivity there, right? And then in the end, you have to learn how to pay attention. And we always talk to the beginner and we ask them, so what happened during the fight? They can't remember anything. Oh, there was up and down and he smashed my face and oh my God, it was trauma. But if you ask a master, they can tell you every little thing that happened during the fight. That was one of the first experiences I had with Teta, Eduardo Teta Rios. I rolled with him and he's like, so what do you remember? And I'm like, well, I think you grabbed me and you swept me and choked me a couple times. And he's like, no, this happened. Boom, 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 boom. And he sat for 40 minutes and talked to me about a roll that took 5 minutes because he had to talk about all the little nuances. And I blew my mind. And when he talked about it, I knew it was true. I remembered it when he talked about it. So having that channel cleared from the top all the way to the bottom for mastery, that's important. So if you want to master something, you got to learn about the structure of consciousness. Otherwise, you will constantly be in conflict. And not only that, but you're going to waste your life. You're going to waste your time and energy because you're going to be putting resources, your time and energy into things where that thing may be very incongruent for you. It may be super incongruent. So one of my favorite examples is like one of our friends, he didn't want anybody to know his name and he didn't want to be famous, but he wanted to be a world champion. That conflict, if you're not aware of what's going on the inside, can stop you from achieving your goals, achieving your dreams, right? So looking at the process of becoming an awakened, efficient human being, you will have to relate to these things. And doing that out of knowledge and out of consciousness makes that journey super quick. It doesn't take you lifetimes, right? In the old days, talk about another religion, people would ask Buddha, so how long does it take to get enlightened? He said, oh, you see that big mountain over there? Yeah. So think in your mind that there's a dove, okay? And that dove, it's carrying a silk scarf, okay? And when it flies over the mountain, it drags that silk scarf across the top of the mountain. Okay? Yeah. Think about this. It only takes the time it would take that dove to wear away the entire mountain with that scarf. That's how long it takes to get enlightened, right? That's a whole lot of time. But the reason why it would take people in general that long to wake up and to understand themselves is because they're doing it from a place of being unconscious and not understanding the way their consciousness works, not being able to figure out where the frame conflicts are. So if I hadn't helped her find out where those frame conflicts were, how long do you think she would be dieting?
Forever.
Forever. And now she's super fit and happy. And she has a husband. And she's over her trauma. She remembers it, but that's not her. That's not him. And her life is great. So working with frames and working with the structure of consciousness is super important. Yeah. So remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself with the speed of light squared, then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.